There we
All right, we're going. All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode one of currently Whistle Whistle podcast, name pending. I'm Vaughn, that's John. We are both sports enthusiasts here. We love any and all sports, Major Four, and some of the other ones that some people don't know about. So, our goal of this podcast is to give an insight to not only the Major Four, but any or every sport that people may not know about or want to learn about. We are along for the ride with this. So, John, anything to add to that?
No, I feel like you got it spot on. Is that we're excited to dive in deep into the four major sports, but also we're excited to dive in deep into other things that other people might not know as well, and we might not even know as well. But if we can, hopefully as we grow as a podcast, we can make it happen. So
Yeah. So, I know for myself, kind of been getting into the motorcycle racing a little bit. My in-laws and my wife, her family is big into that. But I think there's another sport. I don't know if you've heard of this, John. It's called tech ball.
tech ball, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a soccer, ping pong, and there's another sport. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but uh, get into something like that. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, the motorcycle, obviously, and you have a buddy that's truck pulling, so that would be
Hmm.
cool. And my dad used to be a tractor puller, so
Oh yeah,
every
there you
once in a
go.
while, so we could get him into there and see
Yeah,
what
yeah,
his thoughts. And even though he hasn't done it in a while, and we could get somebody else because I do know a lot of people in the tractor pulling community, around the Midwest area, anyways.
right.
And so it would just be really cool to be able to do stuff like that to kind of. And I always wanted to see if I could look into. I don't know what the sport exactly called, but the sport that where there's a ball and it just hums when it goes by you and you have to try to chase it down, and like you're blindfolded, you can't
Huh.
see anything, and it like beeps 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 when it gets closer to you, so you got to like go try to get it, and it's either like kicking it or stuff like that. We'll have to check it out together because
Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
yeah. So I think it'd be pretty cool just to dive into different things like that, just how the heck do you even play that, like what, and then
Yeah,
just kind of get used to see different aspects of people's, like, because we might not all be athletically inclined, but everybody has their own thing about sports that they can bring into.
right. Yeah, I think that's a big thing. If we're not just ball and bat or ball and stick or any kind of, I want to learn about everything.
Right,
The truck pulling. I mean, they make a sport out of everything. There's professional cornhole players.
right, exactly.
I
So
mean, that I think that would be it's definitely going to be a journey.
yeah, it'll be a great journey. I'm sure we'll, as we grow, like I said, we'll just get people and, get people to know people. And, it will be great to hear people from different parts of even, the USA, obviously. But who knows if you get somebody from across the world that wants to talk about their sport and how it's played over there, because, they might not have the resources that North America has, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And so I think also trying to get people involved with the show here. If anybody has a sport they want to learn more about or something, I'm all for trying to find somebody that can explain the sport better.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I would love to hear about what they have to say, because it's, we obviously, us being from, well, you're from Ohio, as we are going to eventually say, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
from Michigan. We have, a knack for in certain sports against each other, obviously, but it's just that we had the same amount of passion, though, as, even though we might not like each other, we have that same passion, that it's a love-hate relationship type thing.
well, most days I like each other. There's a couple days of the
Ah,
year.
well, that's
So
understandable.
so let's move along here. How about we go brief introductions of ourselves, and then maybe we can bounce off each other on what we think of each other.
Okay. Well,
So
yeah. Well, then it's might as well end it now.
why don't you start us off, John?
So I'm John. Obviously, I have a nickname down there as Fundamentals for fun, but because I've always been called that since I was like 11 years old. With playing baseball for my whole life, and we tend to I do the right thing. I use two hands and everything, but I'm from Michigan. We, big Michigan sports guy, obviously. U of M football, U of M basketball, but then also, as you see, I got my Detroit Red Wings hat on here. I really love the Red Wings and what they've brought so far this year. Obviously, big Pistons guy, but obviously the Detroit Tigers are my top team because I love baseball. It's my favorite sport of all time. But obviously, loving how the Lions have been playing lately, and the Dan Campbell area right now is going good. So that's me so far in my life. So, and I'm recently married. There you go. But that's
I'll
a
say.
boo. But
Oh, well, yeah. But
yeah.
shout out to John's wife. She's a good gal.
Well, yeah, most days.
Oh,
She's not sitting over there. We're all right.
Okay.
We're not in the doghouse yet, boys. So go ahead, Vaughn. What do you tell me about you?
So I'm Vaughn. I'm originally from Ohio, big Buckeye. Now living in Michigan. I went to Ohio State, played basketball, not at Ohio State, but all the way up through high school. Love basketball, love baseball, big football guy. Love watching all the sports. I'm a Buckeye. Let's see. What do you?
Well, you talk about professional sports and stuff.
Big Steelers fan, which is a little odd for being from Central Ohio, but we'll take it. The Indians. Well, Guardians.
Oh,
We're
nice.
start.
We're already starting.
We're starting bad. The Guardians. So I watch the Blue Jackets a little bit here and there, and somewhat follow the Columbus Crew. Not a big soccer guy, but we'll pay attention.
Well, yeah, because it may not be part of our four major, but obviously outside of North America, soccer is the biggest sport in the world, really. So
So I know I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I don't really remember how we started our friendship, but
let's see. Well, the first time I met you, I had to be, I think, in my parents' pole barn. I think that was the first time. I remember. I think Ryan brought you over, and because she asked, like, could I bring this Vaughn guy? And I think you might have had maybe Wyatt with you, maybe not Wyatt.
I think it was just me.
No, I thought somebody else came with you, though. I swear, but who knows? That was forever ago. It's been 10 years or more at this point. It feels like it's what it feels like. Because I feel like I've known you every day of my life now, but which is, sorry folks, it's not a good thing, but we're trying to still work with that. But
if you know me, you're stuck with me.
Yeah, I know. I think I regret that, but so no, I think it was definitely my parents' pole barn, which it's nice to. I probably definitely felt like I didn't like you. I'm not gonna lie, because you're a guy from Ohio, and the sports rivalry thing, But I feel like we kind of grew on each other as I feel like I felt blessed to get invited to your wedding and stuff, and I think after that we kind of grew. After that, I swear I feel like that's where kind of things kind of So 2021, 2022 is like kind of like when we kind of just skyrocketed into our friendship. So.
Yeah, I'd say you hit it right on the head there. I know we talk every once in a while, but I think really it was during COVID and video games and then we started playing softball together, and I think we're pretty much inseparable now.
Yeah, I feel like we try to talk every single day. You, me, and usually your brother too is a part of our conversation. But. And so I feel like we it took a little bit, but once we got to know each other, we're like, oh, we're pretty much the exact same people. We're both just pretty humble, pretty laid back, and we just go with the flow. And, I feel like that's an important part of friendship. So.
Yeah. And like we said, I think we like each other about 364 days of the year.
Yeah. Which, hey, which is understandable though.
It's only about 3 hours on that Saturday, I think. But
yeah. And then after that, we can Like I told you before, I try to. You
Uh-huh.
can put it in my face that day, and totally okay. And you're allowed to put it through the rest of the year if you need to. It's all good.
So
But
so let's speaking of that day, let's jump into some college football. We're gonna keep it kind of generic this episode, just some of the major sports, what's going on right now. And then as we get going and get some people here, we'll start having some guests and
yeah,
see what we got. So uh, I think our favorite, my favorite sport is college football.
right.
I think it helps. My team is by far the best team in the country this year.
Oh, for sure.
But we're on week 9. Well, I guess this would be the start of week 10
Hmm.
coming up this weekend. But so week 9 rankings. So we'll start. We'll just go quickly top 10 from week 0 and compare to week 9. So week 0 AP top 10 was Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and Miami.
Yeah, that's you know, we look at how things have happened over like even like the last week, right? James Franklin being fired, right? That's I mean, that's just the thing about Penn State. They always get, I feel like, overranked in the preseason
Mm-hmm.
AP because they have well, he's out for the season, I think now, right? Drew Ayler's
Yep.
out for the season,
Yep.
so they always got pre-ranked so high for. I feel like James Franklin never won a big game, I feel like, in his life. So like, how is he ranked above Ohio State that just came off the national championship, right? Like, how does that happen? I mean, yes, the Texas hype, I get it, but like, if you watch, highlights on Manning, he was playing against, I felt like nobody. Like it
Yeah.
was. So I'm not trying to discredit Manning at all. The Manning family is amazing, right? But like, I think he's going to grow. It's not like he's not going to become better. Like, I think he will. It's all about maturing, especially his first official starts of the
Mm-hmm.
season. He came in, last year for Quinn Ewers here and there, but not actually starting.
Right. Right.
So that kind of, he doesn't have the team around him that I don't think he had even last year. Like Golden's gone. He's in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. So, like, you need guys that can catch the ball and can do things for you. So, and with Ohio State, like, nothing really changed. Like, yeah,
Right.
you have a new quarterback, but you guys are still, as we say, right? Ohio State U is the wide receiver core. Like, that core is just amazing, and you guys continue. If you look at like even the top 10 receivers in the NFL, I know we're kind of jumping ship for a second, but like half the guys are Ohio State grads,
Oh, Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, is leading the league in yards this right
Exactly.
now.
So like, that just tells you right there that you guys have the team, and I don't know why you don't get the respect. I mean, yes, you got third in the preseason polls, but you guys should have been number one. Like,
It's
nothing,
it,
you know.
it always it's funny to me when preseason rankings come out and they always snub Ohio State and Ohio State fans, they go to social media and they start complaining and everybody goes, oh, it's just Ohio State fans crying. Well, I mean, yes, but also what we replaced a quarterback, we replaced a running back, we replaced the defensive line, but everybody else is the same. I mean, you
Yeah,
still have a guy and someone like Jeremiah Smith. I know receivers can't win a game for you by themselves, but he gets 2 or 3 guys on him every play. I mean,
yeah, he's getting like that. Like, I would say from the NFL back in the day, Calvin Johnson treatment, right? He is literally
mhm,
getting blanketed. He is getting everything you can think of, and he's still making production. Like,
right.
that's crazy. Like, you don't see that. I mean, yeah, he's still young. Like, what
Mhm.
he's just still playing at the, and he still has time to grow, and he's probably the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the college football right now.
Mhm.
So
Right. So real quick here, we'll go. We did our preseason. Let's go top 10 from this week. It's Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Alabama, Georgia. That's your top 5. Then we have Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Miami, and Vanderbilt.
right, and so that tells you right there, like, wow, that's college football for you is crazy. Like, look at Indiana. I mean, yeah, last year, right? They say they're not playing anybody. Well, this
Mhm.
year they've been playing some actually some decent teams along the way so far this year. And they're getting how are they doing this in Indiana, right? Like they're known for not even a basketball store anymore, right? They're not even known for they're not even hardly known for anything at this point, really. And then Sagani comes in and just Signetti, excuse me, and just like he's doing this with like support from Indiana, yeah, but like he's not paying guys, he's
they don't
coming
have
out there,
They don't have the Penn State money. I mean, Penn
no,
State said they were going all in, and they're 6 games in and firing their coach.
Right. And so that tells you that that it's not all about the money, and it's not all about your 5-star players. Like you guys, like the rankings, in college football don't mean. I mean, they mean something obviously as the weeks go on, but they don't mean nothing in the AP, preseason poll. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I understand what you were saying. Like you said, Ohio State was crying, but they were crying because they have the right to cry because they just came off a national championship. It's not like, you guys just went 6-6 or something, or now
Right.
6. It's not like you actually came off a national championship and you pretty much beat the living crap out of everybody along the way. It's not like you just barely won against Tennessee or you barely won in the national championship. Like that was a great game, but it just wasn't. You knew that just by watching it, Ohio State just had that upper hand. So
right. So we got any shockers here in the top 10 for this week?
Oh boy, what do you think? What do you think?
Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt stick out just because their names you don't see there at almost ever. I mean, Vanderbilt's usually the laughing stock of the SEC. They're the SECs are the big bad SEC, and Vanderbilt's the school that they're like, oh, well, they could beat a Big Ten team. Well,
yeah, but can they beat the SEC guys?
Right.
But the thing is about that is also yeah, you don't see Georgia Tech in there. Like Georgia Tech, like who? Because it's been a long time since Georgia Tech has been, I think, even relevant. Like maybe Calvin Johnson era, right? That Georgia Tech, he came, yeah. Because I mean, I don't even think they were relevant then. He just was, recruited there and got there, and he just. But he's probably their best player. I feel like almost ever from Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So, but also it's just weird that I mean. Vanderbilt has been winning, and it just doesn't look real, like at all.
It doesn't.
So
they talk their trash, and you're like, oh, okay, and then they go out and back it up.
Yeah, hey, if they can back it up, it's more power to them. And so, seeing them is just it's pretty insane to see them up there. I mean, obviously, I feel like the other teams, like you said, Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech are just the top 2, but everybody else in the top 10 kind of looked like, they were there. They were meant to be there, type thing. Because, I mean, Texas A&M, I didn't expect them to be this good this year, though. So, I mean, I expect them to be good. They're always seem to have that knack, especially if you play in their stadium. That is one of the hardest stadiums to play in because they are loud and, right, they're known, I think, as the 12th man, right? So in college football,
that's their stick.
That's their, yeah, So like, it's hard to play in that stadium. So, but everything else, kind of, I'm surprised that after Alabama's collapse last year, I didn't expect them to kind of recover this year either. I expected them to do good just because Alabama sometimes, they somehow always get in their recruits, even though Saban's gone, and stuff like that. It's still crazy to think that, last year was it was bad. It was. They, when you lose to Michigan in whatever stupid bowl game it was.
Let's not talk about losing to Michigan.
Well, we don't need to talk. We don't need to go over that. This is a new year, and you turned a whole new leaf. So, but it's just that's the thing. Like, I didn't expect that. So from them.
Right. So we did top 10. I don't have the rest of the top 25 out here, but anybody you can think of off the top of your head that maybe should be there or is there that shouldn't be there? I got one. But
okay. Well, you want to go ahead first? You go ahead.
I think my big one, and I'm not taking a personal shot here, but I don't think Michigan should be in the top 25.
Yeah, they don't look like they did, when Harbaugh was still here. I mean, yes, we will get into that whole scandal thing, of course, one day too, probably, just if, sports are down. But, Harbaugh, obviously, we were calling for his name in 2020, right? Like when we did the. I mean, I'm not saying that the people didn't have COVID, but at the same
No,
time,
you dodged us.
yeah, I feel like it was a Dodger for sure because we knew we were going to get our butts handed to us. Like, why are we going to go in and watch us get beat, 52-8, or something, if we even get that many points, That's one thing about the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is that who cares? You're just going to put on as many numbers as you want. You don't care if it looks bad to them because that's what you do. It's one day of the year where you can beat the shit out of the other team and no one should say anything at the end of that except talking shit. So, but for me, yes, Michigan is definitely like, I don't know how they're sitting there at 25. Like they shouldn't be
I don't know.
at all.
When you have a team that beat them pretty good in USC, who's not in there, with the same record, same type of schedule almost,
right?
And then they don't get the votes, but Michigan does.
I think that's where it comes into that. People that drew in the voting. It's just that it's not. I don't think right. Like, yeah, Michigan obviously should not be there. Another team I feel like should not be there. I'm not saying they haven't played anybody, but South Florida. Why are they ranked 18th? That's kind of a. It's kind of like I get it that they're up there. Good for them. Happy for them. But it's like, who have y'all played to really get that? I mean, I think their schedule coming up. I forget who they have coming up, but who have they played though? And I'm looking right now and seeing like, I don't see anybody here. Like, I mean, they're versing Memphis here coming, this weekend. So. Like, what are we? I'm not saying anything bad against it. Like, but they beat North Texas. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm not saying, like, why are they up there?
I quickly looked at their one win was against Florida when Florida was preseason ranked high. I mean,
yeah,
I find it hard. I really believe that that preseason ranking shouldn't be a thing.
Right. I feel like it should just be after the first week. Then you can start slowly ranking people, and because now you should be ranked people, but like
you gotta get a full body of work. I mean, I know college football is changing now, but when every school would play these MAC schools or Conference USA or the HBCU schools, it still happens. But when it was like that's what your first 3 games were every year, how are you gonna rank a team and judge everybody based off of that when everybody's playing the same level of bad football?
Right. And like I said, I know usually it is. And that's one thing about, I feel like lately that it's been good. Like Ohio State, I think the last few years you have played tough competition right off the bat, even though Texas does not look like Texas yet. But, they were preseason 1, you were 3, right? So like,
I mean, Michigan had Oklahoma.
So that's the thing is that, it should be, that's how it should be. It should be tough competition. And I mean, I know that teams, like you said, that you take 3 easy games and then you start getting into your, for us, Big Ten schedule or SEC schedule, whatever it was. But the game has changed, like you said, so much in the last even 5 years or less, So, it's just like back, when it wasn't if you lost one game, you're screwed. That's why teams, I think, did that. But now with this, big playoffs that they have, which is great for entertainment aspect, but it's like for the kids, it's like, oh, we got to play more games now, which is good. It helps them maybe their draft stock or stuff like that. But like they have obviously a more chance of getting injured and stuff like that. So we'll have to get into that one day and see how we both feel about that too.
Right.
So
maybe we can get our buddy Andrew on.
Yeah.
He played in Michigan, right? He played center.
Yep. He played, I think, right guard for the Michigan football. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe get his perspective on how things changed. But yeah, I mean, college football's in full swing. It's every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday now.
Yep.
I think there's a game every night until it's over.
Yeah, which that's great thing that's college football, right? I mean, it's how it should be, like, because kids don't get to get seen if you're playing, say, at Central Michigan. You don't get to see, you get to actually see those guys play, because if Michigan is not, or like the big schools that you want to watch, you're going to watch your schools on Saturday. You're not going to care about Central Michigan, like,
Right.
you know. But
Right.
if it's on a random Wednesday or Thursday night, you're gonna be like, oh,
Get
yeah,
that. Get
I'll
that
tune in.
Thursday night action.
Yep, Thursday night action,
So,
which
so we'll go. We'll stay with another sport here that's kind of mid-season. Kind of. We'll switch to the NFL here. So I have our power rankings for the latest week. They came out Tuesday after the Detroit game, and number one is Detroit, which impressive. They've looked pretty decent when they haven't had to play the refs.
yeah, well, we'll get on that another day.
Yeah, yeah. Number two is the Colts, which I guess Danny Dimes is still down there slinging it.
Yeah, thing about Danny Dimes, you know, when you're on a team like the Giants, you know, it's just it's just not, you don't get that system. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
even like the Browns, you know, it's kind of like if you're on the Giants or Browns, your career could be upside down, or
Yeah.
even the Jets, right? So like those three teams, yeah, if you're on those to start your career, it's probably not going to go good, and we will go with that, you know, a couple of examples eventually on that. But it's just, you know, like Baker Mayfield, right? Like, you know, who
Yep.
thought Baker Mayfield would turn out to? I mean, in college football, he looked great,
Oh
but
yeah.
then, you know, he gets drafted by Cleveland, and they gave him a little bit of light of day, but they didn't give him what he needed, you know,
Yeah.
because Baker, he's going to try to win you a dang football game. He don't care. He's going to run to you. He don't care if
Mm-hmm.
he gets injured doing it. And that's one thing I've always loved about Baker. You know, everyone thinks he's just this, you know, he thinks he's a pre-banana, but he's not. He's trying to win a football game.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
what can you ask about that? Like you would want that in an NFL quarterback, you know?
Yeah, I will say, I went to a lot of Ohio State games, and watching Baker in person was insane to watch him in person. So then we'll go number three. We'll go Kansas City, which I don't know how you put. They just have not looked, you know,
Well,
Travis Swift and
yeah. Well, they're starting to get healthy now, finally, right? Like Rice is back, Rasheed Rice back, so that kind of helps a little bit. And you know, things like that. People are back, but they also haven't. Like they have been playing guys, but like you know, what was the ref count there? That's why I said we're getting there. Like you
uh-huh.
know, they had 0 penalties, and that's the first time since what year? 19
Yeah,
something 70 something. Like they should have. I mean, I thought they were just going to call a late plague on them just to throw one because then that you know just because. But you know, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really watch all the game because I also was half asleep. but you know, but I was every time I watched, I was like, how is that another penalty? Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying there wasn't penalties against us. Like, there 100% was, you know, against the Lions. But at the same time, it shouldn't have been every single time. I felt like, you know, like
mm-hmm.
especially, Brian Branch definitely deserved the one game suspension. Not saying he didn't, but like, if you watch a lot of the replays, it's like, hey, like what the heck? Like, why is he getting almost blocked in the back, like halfway across the play? Like,
Yep.
that's not right. Or when Mahomes said he didn't taunt him, but yet he spun the ball right at him, pointed at him, and all that stuff, and yet any other player, oh no, that's a penalty. Here's the flag. But nope, Mahomes. Oh, good job, Mahomes. Yes, good job.
We don't need any slack. We don't need any heat from Kansas City fans, John. We're just starting out here, so
Oh, okay. So we'll dial it back.
We'll dial it back a little bit. So we'll move on here. Number 4, Seattle. I mean, 4 and 5, Seattle and Green Bay, 2 decent teams. I mean, Seattle, you're looking at their offense, Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba. And Green Bay, you're looking at their defense. I mean, and Jordan Love's a solid quarterback, but
Yeah, he's
you got
coming around a
Michael.
little bit this year finally again. It was kind of a slow start, I think, because you know he kind of had to get his, as they say, legs back underneath him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know he was only out for a few 5 to 6 weeks last
Yeah.
year, you know, give or take. But then he was still nagging him. You could tell it was still nagging him last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had a whole off season of kind of recovery and getting back into shape and all that stuff. So it took him a little bit to kind of get back into that, what he can see. And his, like you said, the defense is obviously way much improved because if you get Micah Parsons, that's going to help you anywhere, right? And he's, I think, slowly coming back too. I mean, yes, he's not, I think, all the way at full snap count yet, but he was lingering something too, and so it kind of think that, with him coming back all the way, mostly now, I think they're going to be even harder to face, even though, obviously we saw what the Lions did against them week 1,
Right.
but I think they're going to be even better the next time the Lions play him. Right. So,
Yeah.
and with same thing with the Seahawks, though, like we're the same thing with Cleveland or not with the Jets, right? The Jets had Sam Darnold and they didn't do anything with him. But now last year he went to the Vikings, to replace JJ McCarthy. I don't know why the Vikings didn't let him go. Like the Vikings had something with him, and it's like he's balling out. Like he took second in the division because the Lions, only lost twice, right? So
right. And it came down to the last week of the season. It wasn't
exactly.
Even, yeah, I don't know why you get rid of somebody like that. I mean, investing in your future, but
oof. Yeah, well, the thing is like how long we can always look at how things have been, right? Brett Favre started, Aaron Rodgers sat behind him. How many years? Like 4 or 5 years, maybe. And then the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers started, and then look who sat behind him for, Love sat behind him for 3 or 4 years himself. So, I mean, that's one thing about Green Bay that I've always loved is that they really try to make that, investment into the future, even though they want to win 100% now, right? Like now that's why they went and got that Micah Parsons trade. But,
right.
But they always have the future planned out too. And that's one thing I think anybody from Green Bay would appreciate is that they help run that team, right? They don't have no owner. They have the fan base runs it. I think I wish every team could have that, right?
I think that is the coolest thing in the NFL, man. I think that there's a lot of cool things with all sports, but I think the city owning the team is just
I think that's one of the coolest things you could ever imagine, right? And so, but like I said, it's just back to the Seahawks real quick is that they have a two-headed monster right now with K9 and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. They both they both can run really good. Even though and like you said, JSN, Jack Smith, he's a beast, and AJ Barner's on tight end, and you have guys around Sam Darnold, and he looks even better than last year. Like he looks really good. Like he feels comfortable in that system now, and all that stuff. And the Seahawks defense is always going to be good, just because ever since the no-fly zone day, right? So it's just crazy how things have not really changed, and from that, and I feel like they're also their motto, right? Like we just talked about Texas A&M.
Yeah,
being the 12th man. The 12th man in the NFL is the Seahawks. So, it's hard to win up there, especially because I feel like, that's up the West Coast. It's a whole different ball game. And that stadium is just,
yeah, it's definitely a challenging place. Okay, so we'll those two sports are still kind of in season here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back to sport that's wrapping up here. It's end of October, postseason baseball. World Series is set. Let's see. Game 1's Friday, so probably today. I'll just say it. Shooting on Thursday, but it'll probably be edited by tomorrow. so game 1 starts tonight.
Yes.
Dodgers and Blue Jays.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about that is we wish every MLB team, because they're going to call for a salary cap thing change probably at the end of this year, obviously. But at the same time, it's like we all wish our owners in Major League Baseball invested as much as the Dodgers invest or the Yankees invest. I mean, yeah, they're getting all the best players, but it's because they want to win, right? And they don't, yes, they're getting all the best players, and it sucks for the rest of the MLB, but it's like I want them to, I would want my team to do it, the Tigers to invest. Like, we're going to have to pay Scooble so much money, but are we going to do that? Who knows? Probably not. That's the Tigers for you with, management, and that's okay. It's not a big deal.
Listen, I'm 30 years old, and in 30 years, I've never seen Cleveland keep a ace pitcher for more than about a year after he takes off.
Yeah. Let's see, like for an example, right? CC.
Oh, CC and Cliff Lee pitched on the same staff, and then they pitched against each other in the World Series.
Right. So, like, that's the thing, like, for Cleveland. But, the Dodgers, they have that high marquee, too. Like, everyone wants to go to the Dodgers or the Yankees because you're going to win. So, and they're going to pay you high dollar, but what you deserve, and going to give you big money. One thing about the Blue Jays, though, is what I love about them is that they're kind of I say like a blue collar team.
Mhm.
I mean, they have some guys that are big names. Not saying they're not, but then they have some just names that are maybe not synonymous in baseball.
Mhm.
Like
They have a lot of guys that played guard ball down there. They came from Cleveland, and
yep.
I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys on their team that played for Cleveland and play that same style of baseball that Cleveland does.
Yeah, and that's what I like about. That's what I was just gonna say too. With that exact thing is that I love that they play. I say guard baseball for sure because they put the ball in play, they make things happen. I mean, yes, some of the guys strike out, right? Everybody strikes out, but it's putting the ball in play and making things happen. And we saw that in the division series against Tigers and
Hmm.
Guards. Like
Yeah,
they made plays happen. I mean,
boring games.
yeah, but they made things happen, right? Like the Tigers were striking all the time, but yet the Guards were still putting the ball in play and making things happen. And the Tigers made a lot of mistakes with that, and so like that series could have gone either way on that part. But the Blue Jays, were just and the Seattle series was a great series, right? Game
Yeah,
7, like
yeah.
you know that's the worst part though is that now I mean yes they got a few days of extra rest, but the Dodgers gonna they might come out a little cold to start just because they've had like a longer break they say, right? And
Hmm.
baseball is such a timing thing, right? Like you sometimes don't want that extended long break because
Right.
it's going to take you like at least like a half a game to kind of get back into who you are as a player. And Otani finally showed up. The last game. He they had the greatest probably postseason performance of all time as a Major League Baseball player. Right, 3 home runs and 10 Ks as a pitcher. Like
Yeah,
that's insane.
yeah. I'll probably never see that again.
No,
That's for sure. But I tell you, that game 7, I turned it over. I don't know, there was a college game on, I think, or no, it was the Monday Night Football game,
mm-hmm.
and I flipped it over, and they were changing pitchers, and it was 3-1. I thought, oh, no way, Mariners blow this. I flipped it back, and it was 4-3. Oh,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah. I think the Mariners probably got a little exhausted too because they also when they were playing the Tigers in Game 5 of that division series, is that they had to use everybody, right? Like that last game, they had to literally use every pitcher because that game went so many innings. Like,
Hmm.
and that's not going to help your pitching staff, especially. So
No.
whoever was going to win that, it was kind of going to face blue. But you got to think, Seattle did end up. They were up 2-0 going back to
Yeah.
Seattle. Like that's not, it's nothing against the Blue Jays. It's just that they just couldn't hit, and then then it started turning around, and next you know, I thought the same thing though too. I mean, obviously I was watching the Monday night game, but also flipping it back and forth as well, and just going, wow, like no, I mean the Blue Jays have a chance, but they just got to do what they've been doing: just put the ball in play, make things happen,
Hmm.
and it takes just 1 or 2 big hits, and George Springer hitting that homer, you know,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that'll help you.
All right. So let's get our predictions. What do you think? Who wins? How many games?
So for me, I say sadly, I don't want the Dodgers to win, but just because, but Dodgers probably, I would say it will probably go 6 games.
Man, it's like we're the same person, John. I'm gonna just to change it up. Just to change it up. I'll go. Dodgers in 5. I think they've stacked it to where it's they got everybody, and it's gonna be hard when you got everybody and nobody wants to see it done, but it's probably gonna happen.
Well, also, a lot of the Dodgers pitchers this year have, a lot of them were out for like some of the quarter of the year, some of them having out half the year. So none of them has exceeded over 200 innings this
Right?
year. Like, or I mean, maybe only a couple guys on the team maybe got close to it, but everybody else has been, so their arms are like mid-season form
Mm-hmm.
anyway. So like for the Dodgers, you just can see them easily, and having Yamamoto and Sahaki and all those guys. You got him coming out of the bullpen now, being your closer. Like they wanted him to be a starter, and he goes down to the minors, comes back, and he's just playing really good as a closer. Like they didn't need all that extra help, but now they got that. They know they have a back end bullpen guy that can, shut it down. And if he needs to pitch multiple innings, he can, And so I feel like, like obviously the Dodgers just have that firepower, and the Blue Jays just, like I said, they only have a few big names, but like you said, they have a lot of guys that are playing, we say guardian baseball, where they put the ball in play and do things that make things happen. But so I feel like one for sure, the Blue Jays are going to sneak a win. I think it could be game 1, or it could be game 2 at the Dodgers,
Yeah.
just because, sneaking away a win from them is, because the Dodgers have been, well rested. And like I said, with that timing issue and stuff like that, it just can be stuff like that. So,
Yeah. I think they definitely could sneak one. I don't know.
oh,
I don't know if they're going to
hold on.
sneak.
We might have to cut that because I didn't realize the Blue Jays are home.
Oh, they
because
are.
I forgot
Okay.
they have the better record. So we'll have to cut that part out. But
Nah, that's fine.
well, we'll take
Growing
we'll take
pains.
the. But
Growing
how about
pains.
the
We'll
Blue
get
Jays
there.
will win a game at home? How about that?
There you go. That's where having a producer is gonna. We'll get there.
yeah. Well, yeah. When we make it, our big time. But yeah,
Yeah.
so the Blue Jays, I think, are definitely going to see one then from home, and then the Dodgers are definitely going to win when they're back at home.
Right.
It's just it's just how it usually goes. You can watch. I feel like if you watch sports long enough, that's usually how it goes. I mean, there's one bad example, I guess, is the 2008 and 2009 Stanley Cup Finals, right? Like the 2008, the Red Wings stole it in Pittsburgh, but then the next year the Red Wings were up at home in Game 5, and they were closing it out, and they didn't close it out. They,
Right.
they were up by like 3 goals, and then that final period, and then they just came back, or stuff like that. No, that might have been Game 6, excuse me. But then Game 7, obviously, you saw what happened. So, anyways, go ahead.
There's a good transition. Let's move on to hockey. I know we don't have much about hockey. I enjoy watching hockey, but I'm not a big hockey guy. I understand basic rules. I know a couple names, but so I mean, let's touch on it.
Well, we got to touch on it. We got to touch on every
Get
sport,
there.
like we said. So with the NHL this year, there's, the normal teams that you expect them to do good, right? So, you got, even though Colorado did lose not recently, Colorado always is, Colorado. They have a team around them and ownership that is really good. The Red Wings are supposed to, like, obviously my hometown team, they weren't supposed to, like, they were hoping to do a lot, but they have 3 20-year-old starters in, the rotation. Like, that's, you don't see that very much.
It's insane. That seems really young for.
Yeah. So, you got that. And so they're, right now the power rankings are looking, decent for most teams. But, it's like I said, the normal, Colorado Avalanche, top team, right? The Winnipeg Jets, who last year were the top dogs in, like, all the way throughout the whole year. Then, like, the last quarter of the season, they kind of had like a mini collapse, and then going into the playoffs, right? So they kind of stumbled into it. Like, they were already kind of locked in, but, they could have finished way better. And that kind of screwed them, because I think that kind of stumbling finish kind of didn't help them. But this year they're back up there, 5-1, so they're starting off hot again. And then you got the Vegas Golden Knights, that, the expansion team from, 5 or 6, 7 or 8 years ago. And, they then won a world, cup. That's crazy that they got a, cup after that. The New Jersey Devils are a young team, up and coming, and they look just as good. Obviously, Carolina looks just as good. There's a lot of teams like that. Hockey is one of those sports that, it's kind of like a lot of sports where if you're riding that hot streak, you're going to keep riding that hot streak.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the Red Wings, they lost last night to, the Buffalo Sabres, but they're also now playing a back-to-back. Like, they play tonight against the New York Islanders. We'll see what they do. But, back-to-back in hockey, I feel like it's harder than any sport. I mean, basketball can be hard. I'm not saying it's not. Your legs kind of, especially with shooting and stuff. But when you're on the ice skating and you're back-to-back, your legs can easily tighten up and stuff like that. So
break my heart, John. How bad are my Blue Jackets going to be?
Oh boy. So your Blue Jackets, they kind of lost some guys throughout last year. They kind of guys went to different places and stuff like that. But they don't look as bad as I thought they were going to look. I mean, I've watched a couple of games of theirs, and I would say they're more of a mid of the pack type people right now. I know that's not what you want to hear as a Columbus Blue Jacket fan, but they still have guys in that team that are good. Like they have like their top line is really good, but it's kind of they don't have like the all around aspect of team play right now. I think they got to get a couple extra guys maybe next year in free agency to kind of solidify that. But there's still a lot of season, and that's one thing about hockey. Anything can happen. A lucky shot could go in, or another. But right now they're in the middle of the pack, so it's not like they're at the bottom tier. They're in that middle tier, and I feel like that's where the Red Wings are, like the top to middle, like not top, but like just above the middle, or middle. So
all right, so let's get on it, Columbus. Let's get some guys in there. Let's win something for the city. Come on.
Yes.
So another sport here starting up. First games were, what were they? Tuesday or Wednesday? NBA.
Oh, they started literally just a couple days ago. Yep, on Tuesday.
Yep.
So
again, I love basketball, but when we get to college, I'll have a lot to say. But the NBA, I know the big guys. I know Giannis. I know LeBron. I know Luka.
Yeah, there's a lot of new, not new faces, but I say Victor Wembanyama, man,
he's a stud.
If he stays healthy throughout his at least through his career, he just got to put a little bit more weight on him because he is a freak. He's a beast. He can do anything. He can shoot. He can rebound. Obviously, he can dunk. We saw a crazy dunk last night where he drove through the lane and literally was getting pulled a little bit and still did like a reverse dunk on the other side. Like that's just doesn't. It didn't look real. It looked like he was a created guy from NBA 2K. That's how, and it definitely was not that. But it's just crazy, And so the Spurs are definitely, if they're healthy, they're going to be good this year because they also have a few other guys that help them, like Stephon Castle. They have guys around the team that can kind of, help out a lot, and that's a big thing in NBA. But the NBA also, it's also like any sport, it's an entertainment, right? So they're going to try to run up as much points as they can. They might not play some of them do play defense, like Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is one of the section, and probably Memphis. They both, for some reason, they play hard-nosed basketball, and they're going to get in front of you, and you're going to have to try to score around us. And I like that about those teams. So, but yeah, this year is going to be an interesting year because Kevin Durant's now in Houston, and they had one of the craziest lineups you will ever hear. They had Amen Thompson, not Asar, which is on the Pistons, but Amen Thompson, the twin. He started at point guard. Then you had Kevin Durant starting at shooting guard. Wait, what? And then you had Jabari Smith Jr. at small forward. Then you had Elpane Sagoon playing at power forward. Then you had Steven Adams at center. So that team, everybody was 6'7" and above in that lineup to start. You don't see that ever, because usually you want to have a guard that, can dish it out or whatever he needs to do. But if they have a lineup going out there every day like that, yes, they lost to Oklahoma City in double overtime on Tuesday, but they did really look really good. And, I think they're going to run over a lot of teams this year especially they're playing the Pistons here tomorrow or today at this point.
And we'll see when we get it out.
Well, yeah,
I might stay up late tonight. We'll
yeah, so it's just that their team is just all around is just amazing. Especially that Sengun guy, he went off. He dropped I think 30 points, had I think 12 rebounds and 8 assists. And he shot at a high click too. He's I think I say a rip-off version of Jokic. He's just Jokic. If he cared a little bit about the sport, which he does, he's so nonchalant about it, but he can just do it because he's great at what he does. So that's the thing. So
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not a huge NBA guy. I love basketball. College, I'll be all for it. I follow a little bit. Talking to you and my brother, I will pay attention, but I'm not going to sit down and watch an NBA game. Cavs are looking okay. I mean, they still got Donovan, which I didn't think was going to happen. I think he has every right to go somewhere else if he wants, but he's sticking with Cleveland.
Yeah, which is great for Cleveland. It really is. Donovan he's also a hard-nosed guy that I like very much, that he's going to drive to the hole when he needs to, but he also can shoot. So, and with Cleveland, you guys have good guys around. Like, you have the Jarrett Allen, you have the Evan Mobley, you have guys that can help him win. It's just that you guys haven't put it all together yet. Like you have, but you haven't. So, but you also have some guys that left last year. You have Ty Jerome left. He's now in Memphis. So that guy off the bench was a big guy, like coming off the bench. And so, you do have guys coming off the bench that are decent, but I feel like a Ty Jerome at the end of last year was just playing out of his mind. Right. So, that kind of doesn't help with that. But, Cleveland's still going to be good, though. They're probably, I say, at least second or third in the East, so that's still pretty darn good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Indiana probably have a down year. Halliburton out all year. I mean, you got, I think Cleveland lost to the Knicks the other night, but
yeah, they lost last night. But I feel like the Knicks, they still have like the same team from last year. They also play that hard-nosed defense, and they also are a little improved as well, even though they didn't really need help. But if they have guys that can actually shoot the ball, they're fine. They have everything else that they need. So
I think that that about covers all the major sports right now. Any other sports? I mean, NASCAR is winding down.
Yeah, NASCAR. We got 2 weeks left on that one. You got Martinsville this weekend, and so there's a few drivers needing to get in because obviously the 2 drivers are already in. So
the
there's
playoffs
2 spots left at the moment.
The playoffs for NASCAR just lost me, man. I am an old school NASCAR guy.
Yeah, I like the point system where well, that's the thing. Like, it should be throughout the whole year. It shouldn't just be these 10 races or whatever. And it's not fair for. I mean, it's fair for the other drivers, right? Like, they're 10th place. They're like, I have a great chance of winning that still, But it sucks for if you have a bad race, that's that's part of it, And the teams though with NASCAR too is just that that there's those 3 major teams really, right? You got Penske, Gibbs, and Hendricks. Those 3 guys always tend to be up there. And it feels bad for Roush and Keselowski Racing, because Brad Keselowski went and tried to help out, but he didn't realize how bad that Roush was behind. They weren't bad. It's just they didn't like to use all that extra tech that nowadays that can help.
You gotta have it. I mean, you got to do it.
You got to do it, and you got to
do it or get left behind.
Exactly, and that's what happened. They got left behind. So
I mean, I think I see that in every. I mean, I think a lot of sports like that. If you aren't using the new thing, or football, right? I mean, college football. If you don't want to use the NIL,
and that's the thing. Like, and then there's the same thing with I think the torpedo bats, right? In Major League Baseball to start the year, right? If you're not using those people, they were hitting the crap out of the ball with those to start the year. I mean, obviously it kind of started evening out, I think, a little bit, but it's just that, if you don't get with the times, you're going to get left behind. So always get with the times. So, but yeah, they got a couple more weeks left of that. Where I think I can look real quick is that, like I said, Briscoe, who won Talladega last weekend, he's obviously locked in. And then also, let's see who else is locked in. I forget. Oh, yes, Denny Hamlin's locked in. He could actually finally maybe win a championship because he is over, and he's been part of those final little bits every time. But right now, Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson are above that cut line at plus 37 and plus 36. So, but, the drivers that could still win it, though, are Byron, Logano, Blaney, Elliott. If they just win, they're in. Even they're -4, like right now, Chase Elliott's minus 62 points to get in. But if he wins, he's in.
Which is insane to think about. I understand NASCAR's trying to keep fans, but to take somebody that understands NASCAR at any point and throw something new at them, and then expect them to not per se them, but I always find it when I'm watching a sport and somebody asks me a question that I know about the sport, I try to answer it. Well, I can't explain the playoffs. I can't explain that Chase Elliott's 62 points down, but if he wins, he's in. Well, why? Because he gets 65 points? No, because
He
he
got the win.
automatically wins.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make
And
sense.
I feel like it's fun for like the final race, and that's about it. Because it's like top 4 guys, winner take all. Even though I feel like that's not. I mean, they're trying to make it fun, like any other sport, right? Like they're trying to say, yeah, well, kind of like college football, right?
Right.
Playoffs,
Right.
you win, you win, right? Win it all. But they're trying to kind of switch it up to make it feel like other sports, but I don't think they need to change it. They didn't need to change it. Like NASCAR has been around for a long time, and it just since the 1960s, and like from 1960 to about 2005. Yeah, that's when they, the chase or whatever playoffs started to happen or whatever, the top 10 guys. But it was like, that's not. And then Jimmy Johnson ran off like 4, 5, straight championships like that, and, and everyone's like, was this even the right idea? Right. But things would have been different. Like if those other parts would have been implemented, he would have never won that many in a row. Like somebody else would have won one. Like I think Jeff Gordon would have won another one, and he would have won, and I think
it would be interesting if they would go back and like, if they did the playoff formats, and I'm sure there's somebody out there that could do it. They could plug in everything and see like who would have won the championship from this year. Like that, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, because they should have changed it. They already had it great. I mean, yes, they were losing viewership. It's not like they weren't, but at the same time, it's just NASCAR is just not the same as it used to be. I'm glad that I think nowadays they're trying to make it more of a level playing field, and all the cars kind of look the same. And that's kind of where it kind of gets, it kind of sucks because, you want cars to look different so you can distinctly see who is who. Like,
right, yeah,
that's.
I mean, people that don't understand, if you don't watch NASCAR, look up a Google search Richard Petty, look his car, and then look at the whole field that started on last Sunday's race. And there's no difference. It's the exact same car, just a different wrap.
Yeah, and which that sucks because the paint schemes were what brought NASCAR out, and because, you would want guys to represent your company and out there, So like obviously Richard Petty had STP forever, but then you had, when Jeff Gordon got going, he was DuPont forever, and then obviously as he got going, like probably about the last 5 or 6 years of career, it was a whole different, but obviously you can tell, like that's how I used to tell people, it's like, oh, who's the driver of the Lowe's 48? Oh, well, that's easy, Jimmy Johnson. Everyone knows that, like Lowe's 48, and you can just literally, I can, you can picture in your head exactly what that looked like, the paint scheme and everything, except if every once in a while it was a little different, like Jeff Gordon, had DuPont like 98% of the time, but then during like the Daytona races, like in the summertime, he would have a Pepsi logo on there, so, but you knew that's what it was, like, it was such the viewership thing, and now it's just like, oh, like that looks like a great car, but it looks red a little bit. I don't know, what is that? I'm not colorblind, so I don't know.
Right. Yeah, so we got NASCAR wrapping up. I don't know what else is in season. What else do we have? I mean,
there's a lot of things still in season. Just we'll maybe cover that next time because we've been going for a little bit now, and we can talk about more things next time. We'll talk about the other stuff. Like we'll still talk about our major sports again, but it will be a little bit quicker next time. But then we can kind of go into the ones that we said when our introduction that we're just going to talk about maybe some truck bowling that like the season is pretty much done, it's now, so, we can talk about how, different guys did different things and, but, so we'll go, we'll cross the non-discrete sports,
Right. We'll start diving into those lesser known sports and maybe we'll see if we can get some guys on to start teaching. So next season, people can go to their county fair or wherever it's at and watch and understand a little bit what's going on.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, it's the longest pole. Well, yeah, it is the longest pole, but like, what entitles them to have that longest pole? Like, did they just have like something else that maybe that they needed, or they just are so experienced that they know what to expect,
Right.
So like I don't even know half the things, and that's why I want to learn more about it. So
so I guess we will. Oh, well, last question here. So you guys have Ohio State's on a bye this week.
Mhm.
Michigan's got Michigan State. Is it going to be a game? Is it going to be? It's going to be a rout. Is it going to be? What do you think?
So it's at Michigan State, obviously, and they switched it to a night game.
Mhm,
All that stuff. If Michigan plays like they did last week, I felt like they did play better against Washington. I'm not saying they didn't, but if they played against how they felt against Washington, they should. I would say they win like probably 34 to like 14. That's what I got, just because Michigan State, they do have guys that Michigan might not be able to stop. They have that Nick Marsh guy. He's a beast. Like, so I mean, yes, Michigan State hasn't looked like what they all thought with Jonas Smith coming in, but everyone's complaining like, oh, he doesn't have the NLI money. But it's like Indiana's doing it without the NLI money, and he's literally came in at the same exact time. So why are you? I mean, I get it. Like, you are competing against Michigan in the same, area, at least. I get that. So it is very difficult. I'm not saying it's not, but it's like, but also he brought in guys from his Oregon State days, So you thought with Aiden Childs was going to make a step this year, and he really hasn't taken that leap, So
No, he hasn't. He's looked okay. He's looked decent in spurts, but
yeah, we just thought he would have matured a lot over, over the off season, kind of grew as a person, but he or as a player, I guess, and he just hasn't taken that. Like you said, he's seen some spurts, but he hasn't done it. So
yeah. So I think we'll see how you do. We'll see how it goes. And that's about all for today. We're trying this. We're gonna give it a go. Give it a little try. Be Spotify, YouTube. We got an email that I'll put down in the description. If anybody has any comments or questions, I would love once we start getting people on here, we'll have maybe we get some people writing in, get some questions, get their questions answers about the sport. So maybe not the first guest because we're not sure who we're going to have yet, but once we get rolling, we'll try to announce the guests for the next week and give people time to comment or send some questions.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's just that because the viewers should be able to ask questions, because I mean, we'll have our list of questions, but also the viewers I want to just be as interactive as possible for our viewers as well. So
Yep. All right. So on that note, thanks for listening to us. We like to ramble. John a little more than me, but we will. It's a growing experience, and whoever listens and follows along, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We'll see how it goes. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Hopefully, like I said, as this thing gets going, we'll have our viewers, and like I said, just people hopefully coming in. We will accept any people that are say anything. We want to get people's feedback. So thank you for listening.
Yep. All right.